in today's live stream, I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about why I think you should have a machine if you own a dump truck business. And the guy was supposed to doze that entrance, and he did not do a good job at it. Just going to say that. He did not do a good job. Okay, so one of the reasons why I think you should have a machine if you run a dump truck business is the ability to pick up jobs for weekends. Because a lot of dump trucks are not able to work on weekends because of the fact that the rock quarries are closed. So it's nice to be able to find extra income when nobody else can, in the same industry, right? And I think another reason it's good to own a machine along with your dump truck is because it allows you to upsell, or in other words, it allows you to provide more services to your customers, right? It allows you to monopolize a little better. And if you can monopolize what you do so you're a one-stop shop, not only is your customer going to be happier, right? They're going to be happier because they don't have to call 20 people to get one job done. They could just call one person and get the job done. For example, like if somebody wants a driveway done, a lot of times dump trucks will come in and they'll say, yeah, I'll re-rock your driveway, and we can spread with the dump truck. But a lot of times when you pull up to the job and you're looking at it, and it's really not feasible, or it's not really optimum to spread the rock with your dump truck. Like, for example, like there's too many potholes. You could damage your dump truck from the frame twisting. You could potentially tip your dump truck over, right? So that's when the upsell comes, or you're providing more services to your customer, right? Hey, I'll regrade this. It's going to be a better product long term, right? It's going to last longer. You're going to get more bang for your buck. I'm already showing up with my dump truck, so it's really not going to cost you much more for me to bring my machine out there. Right? But you provide a better service and you're able to get more profit and keep yourself a little bit busier. Right? There's a lot of reasons a customer will go with a full service contractor over just a single dump truck owner. And I would say one of the biggest reasons is strictly because, they don't have to call 20 people to get the job done. They were supposed to grade this entrance out, and this is like ridiculous. Whoever was operating that dozer, just take their man card away or whatever. They did not really put a lot of thought into cleaning up that entrance. I think they actually made it worse. Okay, so another reason why it's good to buy a machine, obviously there's tax purposes. You know, your profit is lower that year. You claim it on your taxes. You get to depreciate it, right? So there's that aspect. Another reason I think it's good to own a machine is it really is a good way to store value. It's a good way to store value for your business without getting, you know, getting totally screwed over by inflation or, you know, a whole bunch of other reasons. Like I've heard a lot of guys say, iron in the yard is money in the bank, you know, because if worse comes to worse, you could always sell a machine, and you know, it's basically almost like a forced savings account too for a lot of guys. I know this one guy that he had a pretty big business, and one of his customers just totally went out and ended up really hurting his business, and he took like 10 years off of work and, you know, spent time with his family, did all that stuff. And all he did was every year he sold a machine and just lived off the money that he had saved up in those machines. You know, equipment seldom ever goes down in value. You know, me personally, I have never sold a piece of equipment that I have bought. I've never sold a piece of equipment I've never sold a piece of equipment for less than what I paid for it. It's always kept up with minimum. And, you know, 10 to 15, maybe even 20% on the piece of equipment. And that's after all the maintenance and stuff I've done to the equipment. That's not before maintenance. That's like net. Right? Like, let me just give you a couple examples. Like, that 25-ton tilt deck trailer I purchased. I bought it for $4,500, right? Which that was a smoking deal, right? I spent a day sanding it down. Okay, maybe 2-3 days sanding it down. Painted it. Put some reflectors on there. A couple new lights. New airlines. You know, I probably spent maybe $1,000 on maintenance to it. But then I decided I didn't need the 25-ton because I was getting rid of the 120, and we sold it for $20,500. So, you know, there's definitely a benefit to buying equipment. You know, very rarely are you going to sell it for less than what you paid for it. The only time that ever really happens is if you buy something and you keep it for like 30 years, right? Okay, obviously you're not going to keep up with inflation that way a lot of times. But you probably will still sell it for what you paid for it, but you may not keep up with inflation. Like if you keep it for an extremely long time, like let's say you buy something and then you keep it until it's an antique, right? Obviously, if you sell it, you're not going to get that out of it. But you will most likely, I've heard this from a lot of guys. They say, "Oh, I bought this you know, this pickup truck 20 years ago and I sold it for $2,000 more than what I paid for it." So, and that happens a lot with machinery, right? Of course, there will be the occasional instance where you have some sort of catastrophic failure, that costs you an arm and a leg to fix or something. If you can't fix it yourself, maybe a motor goes out or throws a rod, something like that. Then, the cards were stacked against you. But I would say, 80 to 90% of the time, that's not going to happen. I mean, I've been in business 6 years and I've never lost money on any of the equipment I've ever purchased or sold. Like for example, the Mini I bought, I'm very confident if I listed that Mini, I could make $15,000 on top of what I paid for it. Right? And a lot of that goes into knowing the value of something before you purchase it too, right? I mean, obviously, if you overpay for something, then you're not going to sell it, unless you find some unlucky soul that decides to purchase it for more than it's worth, just like you did, then you're, kind of out of luck. So you need to know what the market value of something is, right? If, let's just give you an example. If you're looking at buying a 330 size excavator and you go to the auctions and they're all selling for, $30,000 to $50,000, if you pay $100,000, that's your fault, right? But if you buy it, for under that, $15,000 or $20,000, then you have some room to work with. It's just like buying a rental, You're not going to pay top dollar for a rental and then put somebody in and expect to have a big cash flow. It don't work like that. You got to get it at the right price to make the numbers pencil out. So when you buy your machine, you got to have that in mind. Now, here's another reason why I think it's good to own a machine along with your dump truck. Maybe your passion is dump trucking, right? If you buy a machine, it'll open your eyes to other aspects of the industry, and maybe you'll find out that dump trucking really isn't your passion. Maybe you'll have a totally different passion. A lot of businesses start out with just one dump truck or one piece of equipment, and then they realize through trial and error that, wow, this really wasn't the passion I thought it was, and it morphs into something that's more enjoyable for them or more profitable. And that's how it happens, But I will say, for those of you that don't want machines, there is a lot of maintenance required for machines. People don't realize how much maintenance costs there are for machines. There are certain people that will just only own trucks, and they'll just specialize in trucks, and you know, all your customers will just know you for trucks. I think it's good to own a machine because people will know you more for than just one thing. So you broaden your customer base. Your customer base goes from only, oh yeah, when people think of you, they think of only dump trucks. See, when they think of me, because I own a machine, they think of dump trucks, land clearing, excavation. They think of utilities, foundations. They think of demolition. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So when they're talking to their friend and a subject comes up, you automatically take priority over somebody who only does one aspect of the industry. For example, like if I only operated with dump trucks, right? And I had a friend who was talking with his friend. Yeah, man, I like to get this driveway redone. When he's talking to his buddy, I can almost guarantee you if the guy that only has a dump truck versus the guy that has a dump truck and a machine, if they have the same quality of work and the same character and the same, you know, everything's the same except for one guy owns a machine and a dump truck and the other guy only owns the dump truck, I guarantee you 10 out of 10 in that conversation, the guy's going to bring up the guy with the machine and the dump truck over the guy with just the dump truck. Ask me how I know, because experience, right? It all comes down to experience, right? And they will automatically assume that the guy with both has more knowledge. They'll assume that the guy that has both has more experience. And I guarantee you they'll call him first. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Unless, I mean, the only caveat to that is if they're just trying to put a Band-Aid on something. That is the one caveat I would say. If there is a caveat, I would say there's one caveat, and that's the guy wants the cheapest thing possible because he literally is scraping up to do this project or do this driveway or whatever. You know, that is the one caveat, because the guy with only one truck is not as busy as the guy with the truck and a machine. I can guarantee you that too. Because there's more demand for two different pieces of equipment, the dump truck and the excavator, than just the dump truck, right? So the demand is a little bit higher. Oh, they got some construction going on here. Doesn't look like little. Shouldn't affect my day though. So those are just kind of some of the things I was thinking of. Equipment is getting so expensive. A person with more versatility will be called over the person that is just one-dimensional. I 100% agree with that. And it goes for every single industry. Even if you want to do long haul, right? If you have a reefer trailer and a flatbed, you're going to stay busier than the guy with only the reefer. Like that, it is what it is, because the versatility will get you more work. And it will also, because your demand will be up higher, right? You will give yourself the potential to expand your business even more, I think. Because then you're going to have more work. You're going to have more of a demand to hire employees, right? Because you can't keep up with the work. So, okay, as soon as your work day is full and you can't do any more work, it's like, well, I got two options. I can either start bidding higher and turn down more work that way, or I can keep my prices the same and hire an employee to do this extra work that I just can't keep up with because I'm loading up my day already. And when I was, when my business was doing the most amount of gross revenue, I had, 2 employees plus myself, so 3 guys working full time, and I had all this equipment. It made it so much easier to do more, make a lot of more people happier than just, one customer, right? And so I would say you get security in your business through having multiple customers. And the way you do that is diversifying. Having that machine, having your dump truck. Some things, I will say there's one thing that kind of sucks about having a machine and a dump truck. A lot of times you're going to end up buying a trailer to haul your machine, right? And I would say you're probably not going to ever hire out your trailer to be moving somebody else's machine unless it's a specialized trailer, right? Because most guys can understand, most trailers are cheap enough that they can just buy a trailer and haul their own machine and not pay delivery things, right? Unless the trailer is so expensive that they can't justify owning one because of the cost and the amount of work that you have to have, to keep it so it pencils out. The numbers have to pencil out. Right? That's another reason why I sold both of my trailers, my tilt decks, because I'm thinking, okay, well, I got my mini. I don't really need these 2 big trailers, 25 ton, because first of all, I've never hauled anybody else's machine with it. I had one customer where I hauled his machine a whole bunch of times, but then he got sick of it and he bought his own trailer because he's like, it just makes more sense for me to buy my own trailer, right? The numbers were not penciling out for him. He was having it move so much that he was like, yeah, I got to buy my own because it's just costing too much money. I'm not making the profit that I want to make because I'm paying somebody to move the. So when you buy a machine, you're probably going to end up buying a trailer, right? Unless, here's the caveat, right? I just purchased a 330 LC, which weighs 73,000 pounds, right? It doesn't make sense for me to go out and buy a lowboy right now, because a lowboy trailer is going to be, anywhere from, they can haul my machine, is probably going to be anywhere from 30,000 on the cheapest level, right? And I'm talking used, abused, put away wet, 1970s RGN, removable gooseneck, to, upwards of 150 grand just for the trailer. So it doesn't make sense for me to go out and buy that trailer unless I start moving that machine every single day, right? Or I decide to get a driver and I decide to put him to work every single day moving stuff, right? So there's an ROI that you have to determine in your business. And it's going to, a lot of guys like me and you, we don't have the math skills to determine if the ROI is going to work or not. I don't have time to just sit down and say, okay, this is the amount of percentage I'm going to make, this and that. If the number isn't big enough in my head that I automatically know it's going to make money, then it ain't worth it to me, right? I can just tell you right now, if I'm not making 20 to 30% on my investment, then it's probably not worth it, right? There are more valuable things I can invest my time into that pay more dividends, if you get my drift, right? And so, you know, and that may, you may, you know, sit down and think, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't buy a machine because my ROI isn't going to be worth it. Because I'm only doing a job every month, every 2 months. You know, so you're going to have to sit down and kind of determine, you know, also, are you going to be paying storage fees for a machine, you know, because you don't have anywhere to park the thing, right? So if you have property like me, you know, I got 10 acres, you almost can't own a piece of property of that size and not own some sort of implement, some sort of tractor or some sort of excavator, you know. Number one, because if you need to move something from one end to the other, you ain't doing it with a pickup, right? So you got to have a tractor or a side-by-side, you know, some sort of implement to help you move stuff, you know, or if a tree falls down or, you know, whatever the case may be. It comes in handy having that piece of equipment. So it's dual purpose, you know. You get money on, you get those, you know, that versatility, right? You get the versatility in your business, and you get the added value of being able to use it at your property, and then it holds value, right? It stores value for you. It's, you know, because 99% of the time you're going to sell it for what you bought or more if you buy it at the right price. So those are some of the reasons why I think if you own a dump truck, you should own a piece of machinery. All right, let me catch up on these comments. Good day, sir. They think of you as a grading business. Yes. Yep. Equipment is getting so expensive. Yep. The versatility will put you in priority. Yep. The only thing I need is youth. I have all the equipment, but I do work sparingly because I like my retirement. Thank goodness I don't need the money. And, you know, you built that life, Mike, by working your tail off, you know, and being valuable to the economy. And, you know, and that's why you have that retirement, you know, that you created that environment where, you know, you worked your tail off and now you get to enjoy, you know, the fruits of your labors. You get to enjoy all the hard work you put in. See, a lot of people, you know, that want to be successful, they have this mindset of, oh, I did enough. And the really successful person is always thinking to themselves, I could do more. What more can I do? And the reason they're so successful is because they're always trying to do more, always trying to become more efficient. And, you know, that's how you know a person is really successful. You know, if they have the right, Mike's got the mindset right there. I wish I could do more. I want to know how to do it better, you know, and successful people have that mindset. If you're talking to somebody and they said, you know what, that's a good job, you know, I don't need to do that any better or any worse or whatever. You know, chances are there's a guy out there thinking in his head, how could I make that faster, more efficient, and more better? And long term, that guy's going to be more successful. Yep, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in on the live stream. I'm going to be doing some videos on the 330 LC pretty soon here. But, you know, I'm out here driving.